Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another Tajweed tips and tricks tutorial. Today we're looking at page 4 of the Safar Abridged Qa'idah, which is the identity map. This is a brilliant page. It gives you a really good base understanding of how the letters look physically when they're joining within words. Okay. Firstly, you need to understand that there are 6 naughty letters which do not join with letters after them. Okay, that will make sense as we go through the page, but if I just briefly explain that they will not have a physical join with the letter after them. Okay, they may join phonetically, but they will not have that physical join. They just don't like anything touching them basically after them. Okay, um, but they're okay for a letter to be before them physically, kind of like connected to them. So if we start, just have a quick look over here at ba, ta, and tha. So the way that they appear when they're alone is on the right. The way that they appear when they're at the beginning of the word, that's in the second column. And the way that they appear when they're in the middle of a word, that's in the third column. And the way that they appear at the end of a word is in the end column. Okay, so briefly, the letters, they kind of have a theme for most of them. So when they're at the beginning of a word, you'll see that half the letter, you kind of like remove half the letter. So with the ba, the ta and the tha, it's kind of like halved, and then you've got this arm which reaches out to the letter that's coming next. When they appear, when these same letters appear in the middle of a word, um, it's basically two arms with the dots. Okay, so there's quite a big change from that initial capital letter uh, to how they appear in the middle. The main thing here is to remember the dots. Okay, that is really the key to remember. And if you've done your homework and if you've been studying from page 1, 2, and 3, you should know by now where all the dots are. If you don't, please go back and recap before continuing with this lesson. And when the ba, the ta, and the tha appear at the end of the word, and this is a theme that continues throughout this page, they revert back to their capital letter form, the way that they appear in the alphabet, but they have that arm which reaches out to the letter before. Okay, the same thing over here. The jim, the ha, and the kha. You can see when they appear in the in the beginning of a word, they lose the tail. In the middle of the word, they got these two arms reaching out to the letter before and after. Again, there's no tail. But when they're at the end of the word, the tail comes back, but they've got this arm which reaches out to the letter before. And remember, bearing in mind Arabic's from right to left, so the way these arms are reaching out is going to be a little bit different to, well, it's going to be the opposite of how it's done in English. Dal, dal, ra, za are end letters or naughty letters. So they won't have those different ways of writing them when they come at the beginning and in the middle. The sin, sheen, sod, and dod. So the theme kind of like continues where you've got they lose the tail when they become at the beginning of a word. In the middle of the word, you've got these two arms reaching out. Again, there's no tail, and when they appear at the end of a word, they revert back to the capital letter form, but you've got these arms reaching out to the letter before. Okay, and moving on to the other side of the page now. So again, the columns are the same. You've got the alone, beginning, middle, and end. The thaw and the dha, the shape hardly changes. The only thing that you've got are these arms. In the beginning, the arms coming from the left. In the middle, you've got two arms, and in the end, the arm is reaching to the letter before. And bear in mind the dot as well. That's vital. Ain, ghain. When they appear at the beginning of a word, lose the tail. You've got the arm reaching to the letter before. And when they're in the middle of the word, you've got two arms. And at the end of the word, revert back to capital letter form. Okay.